Okay, thank you and welcome back everybody to this reconvened deliberations meeting. The Development Contributions Policy, dated 23rd of July 2025. We have no apologies, just waiting on the arrival of, he's with us, here is Councillor.
Yes.
How are you? What part of the country are you in today?
We're in Dargaville. We're in we're in Mangawhai, and I'm here with Nick and Sue.
Oh, okay, excellent, good. Okay.
Larger than life.
So we have an agenda from we have an agenda specifically for this meeting. So we've already confirmed our agenda at the previous meeting, so there's no need to do that.
That's correct.
Have any conflicts of interest arisen in the meantime that anyone would like to declare? No? Okay. Well, in that case, we will continue where we left off last week. I note that a bunch of new documents were emailed through to us in the middle of the morning, so no one's really had any chance to digest that new information, so we'll just have to work our way through it. I've had a request that Kurt has got limited availability today and would like to speak first. Is that what you wanted to do?
Yes, Chair. So our understanding is Kurt is available until 1:30. Is that correct, Kurt? Yeah. So if we could start on the roading packets,
Okay.
which we didn't finalise last week.
Sure.
With Kurt in particular.
Yeah.
Benefit, I believe.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Kurt. The floor is yours.
Yeah, all right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you through the chair. Looking at table, sorry, I'm flicking between screens here. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can.
Yeah. All right. So just looking on page 49 of the document, we've got the roading project.
We'll just get you to hold up there, Kurt. So you're talking to the agenda document from the meeting, page 49 of the agenda.
Recirculating information, so there should be a new attachment A from your package this morning.
So you're talking about an attachment A that was emailed out to panel members this morning at 10:42. And do we have printed copies of it here as well? There's this document here.
Yeah,
okay,
that's correct.
There we go, everybody. You've got a document there, except for perhaps, do you have a printed document in Mangawhai, Mike, or are you operating?
Oh, I'm just opening it up here.
Okay. So it's called draft version 4 attachment A for deliberations.
Kelly, additional documents. Revised working.
That's what it looks like, Mike.
It's about 53 pages.
Just while everyone gets that together, I'd just also like to note that when Kelly circulated that material at 10:42, she also circulated the scheme plan for the Waipua Road connection, which Kurt will talk to.
Okay.
Because that was one of the key questions from the panel.
Yeah.
Asked it.
All right.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And is that this document?
That's correct.
Yeah. All right, I think we're all good to go. Thanks, Kurt.
All right. So I think in particular on page 49 of that appendix A, where it's got the table of the projects that are still proposed, that we're proposing to collect development contributions on for roading.
Yes.
And it's got the track changes showing I guess what's current and what's proposed. So the first project, improved access to Alamar boat ramp, and the final one, the Kawaka new footpath, they've been removed from there because, from my understanding, they've been funded from financial contributions, from reserve contributions, so they're not eligible for we can't double dip and collect development contributions as well. So they've been deleted from the schedule and the DC policy.
Mhm.
The first project on there, which is the big one, the 7.4 odd million, that's the Cove Road connection to Mangawhara Road.
Sorry, just the document that we've got says it's the Cove Road connection to Mangawhai Central, not the Cove Road connection to Mangawhai Road.
Correct. Cove Road connection to Mangawhai Central is the description. And the total value is $7,418,332 with, I did share a plan, maybe we can put that up on the screen, showing the feasibility study, showing the layout of that road, which will help explain what that project is about. Are you able to share that plan on the screen?
Is this the
Is it?
It's called Waipu
Waipu
Road
Road.
Connection. That's one of the attachments
Yeah.
to the email.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Through the chair. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, carry on. I was going to say you can scroll down a couple of pages to show that plan, but yep.
That budget, that doesn't include the blue road on that plan, does it? That's done by the subdivision people?
only if we
Sorry, just say that.
The proposed subdivision roading, that's not part of the 7.4, is it?
no.
No, that's
So, thank you.
correct.
Well, thanks.
So yeah, so the $7.4 million is for the construction of that road within the existing legal road reserve, and it's shown highlighted red. That blue road, which I think the scale I can't see on the screen, I think it says proposed subdivision roading designed by others. That's just indicative. I don't know if that came from some scheme plan from that Mangawhai Central subdivision, but that's not included in this particular project. This is only for the red bit where it shows it joins on to Old Waipu Road, just below the Mangawhai Central. So my understanding from the subdivision consent or the land, the designation, not the designation, the land zoning for Mangawhai Central is that they are not required to construct this road. Council will construct it and they contribute towards this by way of paying their development contributions. And it was envisaged that they would then construct the internal road shown blue to connect to this road. So this is an updated plan. It was done earlier on in this year with a revised cost estimate to arrive at the cost estimate that's shown in that table.
What is the length of the road to be built?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, what is the length of road to be built?
Oh,
I see a change on here, but
1420.
if you scroll down, there are further plans attached to that attachment showing in more detail each section of the road in terms of the feasibility study.
Or 1436. Can you see the drainage on the bottom just behind Kelly's?
Yeah, it's about 1.42 kilometres in, I think, based on that.
What's the gradient like, Kurt? Is it quite steep in places?
It is quite steep in places, and on those plans too, it has on the bottom of each of those pages, it has the long section with gradients on it. There is a steep section where it winds up through the hill. I can't remember off the top of my head what the gradient it is, but it was quite a reasonable investigation. They had Geotech investigate and look at the existing ground conditions and where we may need retaining walls and that. So it's it is a cost estimate, but it is a reasonable investigation being done at this stage to arrive at that cost estimate.
Just one related to that.
Yeah, so you're looking at $5.2 million per kilometre to build this.
Yeah, it's an expensive bit of road. It's going through tricky ground. There are a fair amount of retaining walls to stabilise the batters and on the fill there. Yeah, it's not going to be a cheap road to build.
Yeah, I'll go to Councillor Lambert, then Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, the gradient and everything else associated with it, does that compromise its arterial status, or is it limited to sort of a, because once this opens up, it's going to get used more and more, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah.
Going to provide an alternative connection. That's correct. Yeah, it's still within acceptable parameters. I mean, you know, the design manual will have desired maximum gradients and all that, but when they did look at that, it falls within the acceptable gradients.
Councillor Howard.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Kurt, simple question. Do we have an agreement from the owners of Mangawhai Central to absolutely create that connection, the Blue Road?
So through the chair, I'm not aware of what their consent requirements are in detail.
No.
But
Michael Day knows the answer if you'd like to jump in, Michael.
Thanks,
The
Michael.
answer is no.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
Which then begs the question, why is the project called Cove Road Connection to Mangawhai Central?
Because, well, if I may add to that, as I understand it, there is no plan to have Old Waipu Road go all the way through from Cove Road to the current intersection with Molesworth Drive.
So are you asking a question of someone, or are you sharing your knowledge?
I'm seeking this clarification because, as you say, why call it what it is, what we've called it, if we don't know that Mangawhai Alvarium will agree to building that Blue Road?
I think the question is for staff, why is this project called Connection to Mangawhai Central when there is no connection to Mangawhai Central?
well, if I can answer that through the chairman, at the time when this project, I guess, was given higher priority and all that, was with Mangawhai Central, and that was always the expected strategy on there. You know, if we can't force them to connect, you know, that maybe the planning rules may not allow it, but in terms of it, it does connect to the southern end of the road. So it will still provide a connection from through to ultimately to what's a Molesworth Drive at that point. You can change the name of it if that, but the aim was to provide a connection to Mangawhai Central.
Yeah. So where do we go with that,
Well,
Michael? It's no longer possible to do that.
For the chair, the name of this study is called Old Waipu Road Connection Mangawhai. So, and we could get bogged down in the semantics of the name, but it is an Old Waipu Road connection, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but in the policy that we've got presented to us, it doesn't say that, and it's incorrect. Hello, go ahead.
Thank you. One of the big beneficiaries of this is going to be the New Hill development, because they'll be able to just straight down to the supermarket from there. Are they going to be contributing, or any of their development contributions or reserve contributions going to help out with this road?
Through the chair, yes, they'll be paying development contributions.
But nothing more than that. Is that correct, Sue?
I don't think so. I haven't, yeah, I'm not sure of the negotiations.
Yeah, so just through the chair, the proposal that the Hills are making are investing in the Cove Road, so at the top end where Old Waipu connects, so they're investing in the realignment and improved safety of the road of Cove Road, and they have talked about contributing towards that connection, but we haven't got any agreement in place with them.
So there's no commitment for the old Waipu Road servicing those sites there for them to do an upgrade on that, but to take a little bit of the kilometre distance off this.
I mean, there's always the possibility to negotiate with them, and we've just started working with the Hills on what their contributions and what their plans look like. So, yeah, we have talked to them about the fact that that's an important connection to us, and they've seen that in the long-term plan, and they know it. So, yeah, we'll continue to work with them on in that space. With the blue line that you see there going through what's proposed to be a retirement village, that land's going through due diligence at the moment. But I have spoken to Jo about how it is council's preference to get that connection, and that would still be seeking that connection, and for her to include that in discussions with whoever the buyer is for that land. So it hasn't been lost as a priority, but I guess through the private plan change and the amount of lots that they wanted, their 850 lots was the trigger, and Strategic Property had been very clever, let's say, to keep their plans under 800 lots so that they wouldn't be forced to put in that road. Yeah, so there's a bit of hoop jumping and negotiating to go on there with the developers.
So, Kurt, just as far as the southern extent of this design that we've got here is concerned, from the last time I drove up there, I didn't think that was a particularly robust piece of road. It was like a bit of metal road. Is that where the seal ends, where this is coming in now, or?
Yeah, so through when you're looking on there, the old Waipu Road, the very top end of it is metal. So I guess the question is whether council wants to encourage, if there is a connection provided into Mangawhai Central, whether you want to facilitate, I guess, ease of transport from this new link road through onto the old Waipu Road. If you want to make that link and make it safe, then that new road would extend it in time to the existing sealed section of old Waipu Road, which on their plan I think is pretty much down where the word says old Waipu Road on the map. It's not too far.
It would seem ridiculous for us to spend $7 million making this connection and then have 50 to 100 metres of metal road in the middle between two sections of seal. I don't know why we would contemplate that in the design.
Yeah.
Yeah,
through the chair, I agree with you. I mean, if you're going to build this road, you'd take the seal and link it up to the sealed section of old Waipu Road.
Mr. Chair,
go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can I ask a couple of questions just for clarification? This whole thing is predicated on there being a connection into Mangawhai Central. Surely the first thing we should be doing is getting that agreement. I know Hayley's just said that she's had a discussion with Jo. Before we process any further, because my understanding was, as I said earlier, that there is no desire to connect up all of Old Waipu Road right through to Molesworth Drive. So if we don't have a connection with Mangawhai Central, we've got a major issue, a connectivity issue, because also I understand that Mangawhai Hills is actually already working on roads that will connect to Old Waipu Road and then ultimately to Mangawhai Central.
So just through the chair, Mangawhai Hills, they haven't got their consent approvals to be able to do that. So they might have plans to, but they haven't been approved to be able to get to that point. Yeah.
Well, I might be jumping ahead in a form of presumption, but that is what is said to be the goal, and that has always been talked about as being the goal. So, I mean, can't we get to something as quickly as possible, a little bit more concrete?
Yeah, I guess through the chair, until the due diligence is done for that piece of land that blue line is running straight through the middle of, we'll need to negotiate with the new owners of that land. I've asked Jo to make them aware of the plans of KDC and our preference for that road to run through there, or maybe not following the exact line, but connecting to the road and that roundabout. And she is passing that information on. But yeah, we will have to do the work with the new buyer, or work with them in some kind of process through the Public Works Act to make sure that that road happens.
Yeah.
So just with regard to, where we've got to with this, there was an intention, it seems, that this was going to be a connection to Mangawhai Central. Now that that isn't guaranteed, is there a strategic desire and need to still have this road, given that in the absence of any agreement with Mangawhai Central, it will be taking all the traffic that uses it out onto Molesworth Drive?
Well, through the chair, if there's no connection ultimately to Mangawhai Central, there will be a connection through to Old Waipu Road. But yeah, you're quite correct. It's not removing a lot of that heavy vehicles and service vehicles servicing Mangawhai Central from Molesworth Drive itself and through Mangawhai Village. So it sort of loses some of its strategic purpose.
Yep.
And so then, do we still want to spend $7.5 million on it if it's lost its strategic purpose? It's quite a fundamental point. The project is called A Link to Mangawhai Central. We've now determined that there isn't one.
Well, through the chair, I think that until the conversations have been had with the new buyer of that land, I wouldn't want to take it out, because it could be that the buyers of that land are happy for that road to connect, and will invest alongside strategic property to put in that connecting road. We wouldn't want to say that that's definitely not going to happen, because we don't know who the buyers are and what the actual plans for that land really are. So yeah, I think it's worth keeping it in until we've got the answer around that land ownership.
Yeah, so for the chair, I'm envisaging there's other options council could explore as well, such as a designation and or the Public Works Act, if we need to as well, to acquire land and or to secure the access as well. So I'd say my point of view, it may be a bit premature to just stop it at this stage.
Well, that may be so, except that from a technical perspective, are we not going out and saying we are collecting a proportion of the roading development contribution on the basis that one of the significant projects that we're budgeting for is a road that connects Cove Road connection to Mangawhai Central, but there is no connection. Is there no risk around that in terms of it being challenged?
Well, through the chair, it's still council's desire and well, from a road and strategic point of view, to enable that connection to Mangawhai Central. And the way I understand it, from a planning point of view, consenting point of view, that door hasn't been closed. There's still options to the negotiations with the current owners or any future owners to ensure that link is there. And that's still what council is council's planning towards. And that's what this project is. It's a planned project. I think, as mentioned previously, if you really want to get in there, council does have options under the Public Works Act to acquire that legal corridor through that land to enable that connection. So this link hasn't been stopped yet. There's some hurdles being presented due to change in ownership and change in direction, but it's still quite clearly an opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lambert, then Councillor Howard.
Thank you. Just going straight on from that, just to be clear, the area that Mangawhai Central, where the blue road is, so to speak, the connecting road, is through their area where they want to have their retirement village.
Yep.
So they are going to be quite obstructive in allowing an arterial route to go through there, for obvious reasons. Am I correct in thinking that?
Or through the chair, it's not strategic property that are going to be the problem. It's going to be the new buyers.
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
They won't want an arterial route going through a retirement No.
Yeah, there's potential that they might really dislike that. And I think that I'm making assumptions now, but I think that Strategic Property knew that was going to be a retirement village and didn't want to make that commitment. Yeah, and that's why they strategically kept their lots down.
Okay.
Councillor Howard.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Look, it's more an observation than a question. But my belief is that we must keep this in the program, and we have to have an attitude as council that this is an imperative connection, and then take all necessary steps to ensure that it does happen. I know that might sound a bit heavy-handed, but this whole project's been around for a long time now, and we're only getting to talk about this now. It's crazy. We're going to be much more emphatic about the need, the absolute imperative of that connection happening. From my point of view.
Well, I mean, I don't think we've had submissions that said remove the road anyway. So from the project list. So, but what we're doing here as we go through these is sort of trying to ground truth what the projects are, because we haven't had all this information in detail before, and make sure they are what they say they are. That's all. Kurt, so did you want to move to something else now?
Yeah, through the chair, if that's so I'll just work down through that list so I can clarify what the projects are on there. I'll go to the bottom because I think it's an easier one to clarify. There's $3 million in there. That's a relatively new program that's underway at the moment and still be completed this financial year, where council provided $3 million for seal extensions in this Mangawhai, in this east catchment, and growth will certainly benefit from that. And I think that's a fairly self-explanatory project in there, if anybody's got any questions on that.
I don't think it is what you're saying it is. I think it's coincidental that it's the same amount of money as the current project that's happening.
Yeah, well, this is a new project that's just proposed to be introduced into the development contributions. It wasn't in there previously.
Oh, I thought you just said that it was being implemented now.
Oh, so the $3 million, we commenced that last financial year. The funds were provided last financial year in the current LTP. So
it's not this project, though, is it?
Yes, it is. This is the $3 million for the seal extensions of Kames Road and Devich Road and Settlement Road.
Can we get some clarity around that then? Because this is being funded through DCs. We didn't fund those projects through DCs.
Partially funded through DCs with the 1.6 million.
So through the chair, what my understanding is they were funded through debt, but that when we met as a group, staff group, to discuss this, that we said that actually some of it was due to development contributions and should be gathered through the development contributions.
Well, that's never come to us at council.
It is now. That's what, yeah.
No, there were two separate matters. One was the seal project, which was Kames, Devich and Settlement. This other item, which is now a DC project, is for upgrading local roading east roads.
So
they were never conflated together.
Through the chair, to clarify, this $3 million that's proposed to be included in the DC policies is for the current seal extension program, that is parts of Kames, Settlement Road and Devich Road.
I disagree. I disagree. I was part of all those conversations and that was never the case.
So I think the staff have looked at it and just said that 1.66 million of the 3 million should be included in DCs.
Well, that's not what we approved through our long-term plan.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that through the chair what you mean by it wasn't approved in the long-term plan. The budget was introduced in the long-term plan specifically for those projects, and we've had a look at it, and what we're saying, we think it's appropriate that the future growth coming through there will benefit from that, should contribute towards a portion of that $3 million, that $1.616 million is DCs, and that's what's been proposed to be included in the DC policy. It's council decision. If you elect not to disagree with that, that's fine. Then we'll strike that line from the DC policy, and the Roading East DCs will be reduced accordingly.
But that's not the point. I'm sorry. The point is that we put in $3 million for seal extension, not part of the work we had previously approved for Kames, Devich and Settlement Road. I seem to have somehow got conflated together. The unsubsidised seal extension was never a development contributions project when that was approved, not putting it in retrospectively.
Well, that's what the staff are proposing. There's nothing to prevent council from retrospectively adding that to its development contribution policy, but it's council's decision whether you want to accept that proposal from the staff or not, I guess.
Well, I don't know when that proposal was ever discussed with elected members. That's what I'm making. Is it being discussed with us now in the middle of these deliberations? Is this the first time it's coming to us?
Mr. Chair.
Hello.
Question, as I understand it, I wonder whether actually there's a point of clarity around this. It's just interesting that we've got the two amounts that are the same. The $3 million that we approved and was started to be expended in the last year, of which there is a balance that is left and unspent. And so this is a new, I think what they're saying is that this is a new. I'd be interested to know, have they identified any specific roads for sealing as part of this additional $3 million?
That has been through council, and that is exactly the point I'm trying to make, is there are two different matters. They just coincidentally both happen to have the same dollar amount.
Yep.
And I think that they're getting conflated or confused.
So again, through the chair, that this is the same project, the $3 million, the unsubsidised seal extension program for the Kames, Settlement Road and Devich that we have part way through. We started that last financial year and we still to complete it this financial year. It's the same $3 million that we're proposing to add to the DC policy. It's no new roads or new $3 million. It's the current $3 million approved in the current long-term plan.
Okay, well, we'll move on. I completely disagree with you. I think that's completely wrong, but we'll have to sort that out. I don't know whether the chief executive wants to try and straighten this out, or Mr. Day wants to try and straighten it out.
Okay. Moving up then.
Outside of this. Sorry, Chris, we'll do that outside of this. We need clarity on that one.
Okay. Thank you. And then moving up, that's the Mangawhai Wood Street Revitalisation Roading Works project. That was an existing project in the DC policy. It's been renamed to more appropriately reflect make it clear what we're doing there and which project it is. And it was originally envisaged to be, or expected to be, an NZTA subsidised project. But it's now not NZTA subsidised, and the $6 million is the current approved budget approved by council for that project. So that's budgeted, just been updated to reflect that. And of the $6 million is proposed that 1.68 million is to be recovered via development contributions.
Yeah.
Could you explain, Kurt, how the huge change in the numbers there? I don't understand it, sorry.
So through the chair, look, Sue, you might have a better understanding.
Yeah, through the chair. So when the figures were given to Morrison Lowe, basically the figures of what should have been in as a development contribution was put in as the whole project cost. So the 1.68, you can see there, It was rounded to 1.7 as a project. So I picked it up later and we've corrected it to what was in the long-term plan.
But if we turn back to page 47, you've got headings there. It used to say expenditure, and now it says planned, then expenditure already incurred, and then now it says planned expenditure in that column. Is that a change in this version of the document, or was that in the previous version, or what's happened there?
This is a new addition. This is the change we talked about at the last meeting to make it clearer that it should be planned expenditure.
So it was previously, was it called expenditure already incurred?
Correct.
And now it's called planned expenditure, which
Correct.
is sort of the opposite. And so our expenditure already incurred was previously listed as 1.7 million, and now it is listed as planned expenditure of 6 million. Right.
Correct.
All right, any questions around that item? Okay, next, thanks, Kurt.
So the next two are projects in the, I guess.
Sorry.
Oh, yep.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I did have one, but I was unmuted. I was muted. Let's just going back to that point of this $3 million that we're backwards and forwards on. Surely, if we've now put in 1.6 million to come from DCs out of that, whereas we'd budgeted for the long-term plan is 3 million out of debt, that means is that we've overcharged ratepayers. Is that correct?
No, we wouldn't be charging ratepayers and raising the debt till the project's completed.
So through the chair, just for a point of clarification, this project, this $3 million unsubsidised ceiling extension Roding East, was in the May council meeting version of the DC policy that was approved by council for consultation at the May council meeting. So just confirming it hasn't just slipped in. Right now,
that hasn't been suggested that it's just been slipped in. The point is that it's not the same project as Cambs Everton settlement, which was historical.
Right, so we can sort it out. Remember, the final DC policy comes back to council. So we can sort that out.
Okay, and then we've already covered the Kaiwaka footpath. Yep. Okay, so Kurt is now probably on time. What's the time? Yeah, well, he's 15 minutes late. Do you have anything else to add, Kurt, or does anyone have any further questions of Kurt?
Just to clarify, I mean, the other two projects are planned projects in the Kaiwaka area, and they are in the existing policy, so there's no plan change for that. And the funds in there are really for detailed design. The construction costs will be noted to be more than that in the future.
So could you just cover what those projects are for us then before you go? The Kaiwaka Eastern Link Road growth.
Yeah, so looking at the documentation behind the strategy, that's a proposed, how would I explain it, a link road within the between sort of in the vicinity of sort of Dolly Lane to Wattle Lane to provide a link road so you don't have to come back onto the state highway.
So between Dolly Lane, did you say?
Yes, Dolly Lane to Wattle Lane connection. So that's an internal link in the Kaiwaka community, which is east of State Highway 1.
Oh, is that so you're basically coming down off Puanui Street to link through to the Kaiwaka Mangawhai Road or something, are you?
Yeah, well, I mean, those existing roads ultimately make their way back to State Highway 1, but this internal link would provide, you could have an internal link road without having to move back onto State Highway 1 and then back off it again internally. So it's a parallel link road, parallel to the state.
And the Kaiwaka Honorary Road intersection upgrade, what's that?
That's I mean, that intersection is getting busier and busier, and we're looking to ultimately include right turn lanes, etc., etc. And because the existing intersection is too close to that bridge, you're not able to do that. So to upgrade the intersection, you've got to move it further south to have an upgraded intersection of the state highway with right turn lanes, etc.
So have NZTA come around to this now, because we've been down this track before and they didn't want to know about it?
Well, NZTA don't want to know about it if they have to fund it. Long as the design is appropriate to standards, they're generally not adverse to upgrading intersections on their state highways if they don't have to fund it.
Right.
And then, excuse me, that could all change with the proposed plan coming out within the next year or so where the new 4-laning will go. Because NZTA won't want to touch it if this is not going to be the road anymore, am I correct?
Yeah, I guess ultimately in the future when they build a 4-lane and then bypass it there, they'll no doubt try and invest this as a local road would be my assumption.
So it's a $287,000 feasibility study, is it?
Not feasibility, it's also for detailed design, so you can, and landowner investigations, because we would need to purchase some land to move that road south.
Okay. All right, anyone else got anything else to add on roading or to ask? No, okay, thank you very much, Kurt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll let over to you, Catherine. What do you want to do now?
Well, should we continue on with the projects, given we're kind of going to roll on, but time on our hands? I think the intention was next to hand over to Mel and Haley to cover off water and stormwater. Right through the chair.
Direct came onto the page and start with.
Yep. So we'll come back to page 47. You just come back up a few, Kelly. Yeah. You comfortable studying there now? Yep.
Mr. Chair, would you like to run through each project again or focus on some of the bigger changes that have been made?
I'm not too sure. I mean, the changes that are so vast, it's almost hard to comprehend what we're even trying to achieve, to be honest.
Maybe if you just go line by line and just speak to them now.
So my main focus for this last review was ensuring that everything aligned closely with the local Waters Done Well water services delivery plan. That's where the Waters team have been focusing their efforts on a 30-year capital investment plan for waters. The first 3 years obviously align closely with the LTP. They align with the LTP. And then this schedule covers an additional 2 years, which align with the water services delivery plan. So I've gone through each project and matched them up and make sure that the funding is the same. The difference, if there is any, is as a result of the application of inflation. So the local Waters Done Well water services delivery plan doesn't have inflation in it, and development contributions policy does. So if you're ever looking at the two documents together, they won't look the same to the naked eye, but that's the logic there. So the first project, Dargaville Bailey's Dargaville Hokianga Road to Abukino Road water supply upgrade. So that is a upgrade through existing water supply pipes from the treatment plant across to Abukino Road to enable growth in the Abukino Road area, including firefighting supply. The next line there, so there's one being deleted, so that was a double up and had $0 in it. And this next one, the Road 2 pump station, is a new project that was brought in through the local Waters Done Well water services delivery plan. It's a substantial upgrade to the Road 2 pump station on the Kaihu River to provide a higher level of service to existing customers and also to enable growth in the treated water supply for Dargable. So that is partially funded by growth, about 25%, I think, as you can see in the numbers.
Yeah, that's all.
Does that include the upgrading of the pipeline to take that? The upgraded pump station?
So the water supply line is appropriately sized
Right.
to provide more water. But as we're all aware, it is reaching the end of its life and it will need to be replaced. But that will primarily be renewals focused, that work. It'll be like for like. So it has a lot of capacity in the pipeline, but Row 2 pump station does not have a lot of capacity. We get most of our water from Waipata 25. Am I right to keep moving on?
Yes. Yep.
I query.
Go ahead, Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Underwater supply subtotal, we've got a total of 3.965 million. Can someone explain to me from the table above, the columns above, or the rows above, how we get to 3.65 million? 3.965 million?
Thank you, Councillor Howard. We will correct that.
Have a look at that.
So there a flow-on effect from that into other components of our modelling then?
The model itself has been based on individual lines, not
Right,
the
not
totals in the document.
So we're not impacted by totals.
No,
No.
no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'll carry on, please.
Okay, the water supply in Mangatoroto Bickerstaff to Judge Water Main project has been moved out to future years, so this has been deleted here. Mangatoroto water treatment plant upgrade. This one's a bit nuanced. So there was one line that covered 30 years. There was kind of two separate projects in that line. The first project is the project that we've just completed. It had a budget of $700,000 available in the LTP. That ended up being funded by the Better Off Fund. So initially it was planned to be partially funded through development contributions, but we reallocated the Better Off Fund to that. And so we've taken that $700,000 out of the development contribution costs. Now, that project was focused on capacity of the plant. And so it had a higher development contribution percentage applied to it. And that was incorrectly applied to the project that was later on in the years. So later on in the years, the focus of the project is on the raw water tank at the Mangatoroto water treatment plant. And that is primarily level of service. So it's reaching the end of its life, renewals focused. A small growth component. So we've reassessed the growth component on the DC funded project there, and that's come down significantly, as you can see, from about 1.1 million to 190,000. And that's had a really positive impact on the overall water supply development contribution modelling.
Yes, Chair, I think that means that the these water supply Mangatoroto reduced to some 3,772 per connection, which is a significant reduction.
Any further questions on that?
All right, anyone else got any questions on that one? No, okay, where are we going next?
Down to stormwater. So a number of these projects were they appear in later years in the local waters delivery plan. They don't appear in the first 5 years. So all of those deletions, that's the case there. Magnify stormwater network extensions. Just going to go to my notes, excuse me. So there were no changes there. This aligns with the local waters Dunwell Water Services Delivery Plan. And this work is to support ongoing growth-related projects as directed by the catchment management planning and ground truthing as a result of growth in the area. You'll see further on there's a specific project for Jack Boyd Drive and the growth happening in the upper catchment there.
Okay. Any questions? No?
Jackboard Drive is the next one. But yeah, like I said, so that's specific projects to Jackboard Drive. Not necessarily related to growth in Jackboard Drive, but in the upper catchments, including Sail Rock Drive and MetLife Care and that area there.
Yeah.
Over the page.
38.
So some changes in the Kaiwaka stormwater network extensions. So initially there was 4 years of projects in the 5 years, and the local water services delivery plan. We have insufficient evidence of growth in that 5-year timeframe, and so the latest plan has reduced that to align with the LTP only, which is investment in years 26 and 27, $300,000 in each of those years. So that's come down as well.
Yes.
And that's it for water and stormwater.
Do you want to hand over to Sue, or do you want to talk about the wastewater?
Oh,
Councillor Howard?
From you.
From you, Councillor Howard. Councillor Howard, have you got a question or not?
Yeah, carry on.
I will hand over to Sue for Mangawhai wastewater. That's right, Sue?
Yeah, so the first years you can see there's effluent transfer, that's a storage tank, and the reticulation to get the effluent from the Mangawhai wastewater plant through to the golf club, and that's the 5.2. Then there's actually the treatment plant itself, 1.5 million, I think it was in total. And I'm just trying to work out where the rest. There was.
Oh, it's split across to the next page.
Another page, Sue.
It looked a bit funny.
There's more
Oh.
coming.
But wait, there's more.
If you want to go down, Kelly.
Then there's the subsurface surface irrigation.
Yep, so overall there was a reduction in the Mangawhai wastewater investment because we identified a rogue line that effectively doubled up and didn't allow for inflation in the model. So there's been a reduction there.
Yeah, so all of that should add up to about 8.4, I think, which is the 9.1 or 9.2 that council has approved, less the 800,000 funded by the Better Off Fund.
Just for my.
But could you just clarify on page 49, the first item there, where the previously we had expenditure already incurred was 11.5 million, and now we have 1.889 million of expenditure planned. How does that all correlate?
I'm not sure where the 11.5.
So you've got 11.5 struck out at the first row on page 49, and it's reduced to 1.889.
Yeah, so I can remember that in the draft that went out for consultation, it went for 6 years. So this, what we're talking about now, is only for the 5 years, which covers what's been approved by council. And there was 10 million in year. There was 10 million in year 6.
And what was that 10 million?
It was for, I think, I'm just trying to look and. Yeah, it was the balance tanks to the CAS, converting of balance CAS, and also an extra indents tank.
So that's for this 5-year scenario, but for the 10-year scenario, it would be included.
Yes, but we didn't go to that. The 10 years now is about 30 something million, I think.
32.
That is model and it is in the package as well, Chair.
Yeah, so the sheet we've got here, which is scenario 1B, where's the scenario 2 sheet? Is that here as well, or?
It's in the model, so I haven't given you a recalcable of the tables, but it's just an adjustment for that Mangawhai project.
So scenario 2 is if we actually have regard for the full growth cost.
Yeah.
And scenario 1B is if we don't.
Yeah.
And this committee is going to have to make a recommendation on whether we do or we don't. So we need scenario 2's figures in a form like this, I would presume, to be able to look at. Where is that?
It's in the Excel spreadsheet on the
So it's in there, but it's not printed.
It's not in the version I've given you with the tables. So you've got this
Right.
in the model. It's the DC charge schedule in the model that says scenario 2. I just haven't given you these tables from it.
Could Kelly bring it up for the council?
Well, yeah, for anybody that's watching online, but we've got an email document. So is it 28 July revised working DC model scenario 2? Yeah.
Right, yes.
If everyone opens that on their computer, you'll be able to.
I've just highlighted the Mangawhai wastewater charge, which is 62,206.
Which tab shows us this?
DC charge schedule, so second one in.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. But you got that okay?
Can you scroll down? Thanks, Kelly.
Just down a wee bit. Yep, that's it. Thanks, Kelly.
Question, if I may, please, Mr. Chair.
Everything else stays the same except for scenario 2. We have a wastewater DC amount for Mangawhai going from 40,013 to 62,206.
Correct.
You there, Mr. Chair? Can you hear?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. Just one quick query on these points on the Mangawhai wastewater. In that first line, 5.255 million we've got for extensions to reticulation, including new disposal system. Yet in the third line over the page, you got 1.889 million or thereabouts for upgrade network pump stations to provide additional golf course subsurface irrigation. So that's all part of the disposal also, or is it part of upgrading the plants and disposal? I've just made this point. I've asked several times now to try to break it out between disposal and the treatment plant upgrades. And it's just going to help for people to follow what these amounts do relate to.
Yeah, and we have tried to improve the readability of each of those lines and align them with Tim Manning's current program. So the intention is that the first line, with the addition effluent transfer, that's around the pump station and the reticulation required to get it from the treatment plant to the golf course. And then the last line, golf course subsurface irrigation, that's about the dripper lines in the golf course itself.
Okay, so look, I haven't gone to that the second option for the longer period. So what would that figure, the 1.889, look like in the longer term view?
It's not that that line would cost more, is that there's other elements of the overall program that are included.
Yeah,
so this one,
that's what I mean. So how much more will it increase?
So the additional scope includes the actual upgrade to the treatment plant, so transferring it from a storage tank into the gas tank, and adding another indent system like Sue just mentioned. There's
Yeah,
some quite hefty investment in the treatment plant itself.
yep.
Carry on through them, thanks, Mel.
Okay, so moving on from Mangawhai.
Yep, just work our way down through the list, because there's a lot of changes, and I think that I'll be left with members online as well, I understand these changes.
Yeah, I was using the Word document and stressing about the pages before. Okay, so again, a lot of deletions because these weren't intended to take place in the 5-year timeframe. So I'll just focus on Dargaville wastewater treatment plant upgrade. Is the next one.
So just with regard to that though, because the same thing with Mangawhai, are we contemplating any possibility that Dargaville would have a longer horizon as well, or is that not the case?
There's in the 5 to 10 year period, there's no significant investment in Dargaville planned.
Right.
It doesn't.
So it doesn't make any difference in that case.
Not material.
Okay. Carry on there. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's no proposed changes to that line. So we've got a current project happening and then another small upgrade happening in a couple of years that are both in the LTP. The Dargaville wastewater pump stations 1 and 4 upgrades. That's again an LTP project. No changes there. Both growth related to support industrial growth and residential growth in Dargaville. Pump station 1 is one of the final pump stations, so it's impacted by growth anywhere in the network. If I can just get down to Kaiwaka wastewater treatment plant upgrade.
Oh, sorry, could you just before you do that, could you just cover up on the other 2 Dargaville items that are struck out there? I don't know why we're.
I think they covered.
So those don't appear in the water services delivery plan in the first 5 years. So this is new investment planning that we've done, and those don't appear in the 5-year timeframe.
Right. So would they be used by? They're not necessary for any development that happens in the next 5 years.
That's right.
And so from a fairness perspective, then you wouldn't want to be collecting it yet.
Right. Trying to apply it consistently. Yep.
Yep.
So Kaiwaka wastewater treatment plant upgrade. There is a consent trigger in 2028 that will require us to upgrade the treatment plant, and there's an element of growth that will be enabled through that design and build process. And then again, some further projects that have been deleted as a result of timing. Okay, do you want to comment on it?
If I can just add through the chair that the removal of those Mangataroto projects, along with what Mel said earlier about the projects that we've changed the figures for, has actually quite drastically reduced the DC charge from what we'd previously presented to the panel last time. So you'll see that it's gone down significantly to 3,772. So that is a big shift from where we were previously.
And previously we were at
22,000.
So we've gone from 22,000 down to 3,000.
Is that right?
No, that sounded about right. Yep.
Oh, is it?
For water supply, yes.
That's what what is it?
Oh, okay, sorry. Mangataroto. I'm looking at the wrong thing.
I'll let that one be.
The Mangataroto base charge to go down to $223 was around $12,500.
On this sheet, are the yellow highlighted figures the ones that have changed?
Yes.
So that one doesn't appear to be highlighted changed, is that right?
This one
Sorry,
here.
which one?
Wastewater, wastewater treatment.
Yeah, I actually think, Kevin, that those projects they were included in the list, but they weren't included in the last model because they were timed after year 5 years.
Right,
So
okay.
deleting them didn't impact
The charge.
the charge.
Okay.
I think that's my understanding.
So
And that was for water and
and
water charge that's gone down.
Oh, but look, this one says 12.
for panel's sake, this is the first time the council's ever done an out of
But it's not us, so that's it.
DC policy
Yeah.
review. It's normally done once with LPP. And it's the first time ever we've tried to reconcile this with local water's done well, CapEx plan, which is brand new as well. And this DC policy review process, as we all know, commenced and was running ahead of local water's done well CapEx plan. So the team has done a lot of hard work very, very quickly to reconcile all the way. Because if we get back to first principles approach, DC policy is a mechanism for council to recover a fair and equitable and proportionate share of the capital investment needed to service growth. First principles. Why are we doing it?
Also, our infrastructure strategy, which creates the 30-year plan, that work's just getting underway now. And then the environmental scanning, which feeds into our growth and our long-term plan, gets underway in October. So, and that gets presented to council in February. So there's just a few missing pieces that we're doing this in isolation of.
I think there's one more relevant point too, and that's the fact that we had to do a 3-year LTP.
Yes.
So we'd normally do a 10-year LTP, which means we'd be better set up for years, 4 to 10 in that capital expenditure space. We didn't do that because we had to get a 3-year LTP on the cyclone recovery. So there are a few elements here, but what I would also add to the conversation is that Councillor Larson made this point a few weeks back. We need a regular review of our DC policy, and that's going to be incorporated into the long-term plan cycle. So we'll be doing that in another 18 months again as well, to match up with the next capital program in that space. So we've already scheduled that into each LTP program from hence on in as part of that process. So, anyway, just a little bit extra.
Do you want to take us through next, Catherine?
I think that I think that's all of the projects. So they're probably in your hands unless you would like me to just sort of discuss the options that are in front of you with 1B versus.
Let's go through the options. Have you got a page, an agenda that's running through that, or you just got some notes of your own there?
Yeah, I can just talk you through the attachments that we've circulated today.
Okay.
I've tried to be helpful with putting everything into the policy. So you'll have the policy, which is attachment A there. And so page 17 is the revised DC charges. Now, those charges that are in there are based on our recommended option, which is 1B. So despite all the work that we've done, we still haven't changed our position on recommending scenario 1B, which is the 5-year timeframe with the Maiwhai wastewater project. We think that this is still a good on balance document to go out with, or certainly for the DC charges, by comparison to the option 2, which I'll talk to in a sec. And so obviously we've been through the projects list, which is on pages 43 to 50. And then to help the panel, I've included the updated or revised tables. So this one here is also what you'll see in the policy, attachment A. And then on the back, sorry for Councillor Howard if you can't see my sheet, but I'm just referring to the attachment that was circulated earlier, which has got the revised scenario 1B DC charges schedule, and then table A and table 4A revised and table 4B revised. And that just shows you at a glance the changes that we're talking about here. So obviously with all of this change that we've just worked through, that impacts the final total calculations for the DC charges, which you can see for Mangatarori, that one's decreased now. This is the increase previously. And I've tried to be helpful and just highlight where those figures have changed. So I'll just quickly talk about my thinking with option 2, or scenario 2, which is the 10-year. We staff feel that including the 10 years for the Mangawhai Wastewater Connections project is still not necessarily our best option. If you do have a look in the model, and we've just mentioned that it does increase the DC charge to 62,206, which actually bumps the full wastewater DC charge for Mangawhai up to 82,929. We feel that's a significant shift from what we consulted on, and obviously option 1B. And if we were to go with that option, we'd recommend reconsulting with this work. So I guess the benefit of going with 1B is that we could still work to get this on the agenda for the council and get it approved and adopted before the triennium. With option 2, it will push out the timeframes. We'll have to reconsult. We checked the law on that because we're consulting under Section 82 of the LGA. It just says to use reasonable timeframes. So talking to Mike about that, we could do 2 weeks if the panel were of the mind to go that way. So just wanted to put all the options on the table for you to consider. Obviously that would, perk some interest, especially in Mangawhai bumping that charge up. So there's an option, but we still believe that the best one is 1B. So I think that's primarily all I needed to cover, but happy to take questions on the ins and outs of that.
Could you take us through, please, the community rider that we've really delved into? I just want to understand what that actually is doing, where it's coming from, and how long it's taking to recover. And perhaps if we do that through the models, probably the easiest.
Yep, certainly.
So if we open.
We want to open the 1B.
Yeah.
That's going to align with the figures that I've given you there.
Yeah.
So if we do want to do a filter on that.
So for anyone that's looking, you're looking at the Excel spreadsheet, which is titled 28 July Revised Working DC Model Scenario 1B.
Yep.
Includes Mangawhai wastewater to 5 years. And then are we searching on the...
If you go to the project list, which is the fourth tab along, fifth tab along.
Project list tab.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you can filter. If you click on the filter tab at the top, you can select just the new community projects, and then just select that, and it brings up the 6 million. I don't know, Sue, did you want to?
I think the drop down menu allows you to search anyway, doesn't it?
Sure.
Yeah, through the chair, there's only one project,
Only
and that's
one
the
project.
Mangawhai Library.
Yeah.
That's it. Yes, correct.
Yep.
So the Mangawhai Community Library in this policy is being funded from where in the district?
103 line.
The whole district.
And on what basis is that?
That's been from the very beginning. I think we did put some costs in about 3 years ago in an LTV for the Dargable Library, but have taken those out.
Yeah, that's correct. We had co-funding for both libraries, but when the tranche 2 was removed from central government and then tranche 1 redirected to water projects, the funding for the Dargable Library was removed.
I've raised it before, but I'll raise it again. I have a big issue with this. I think that the optics of it are terrible. I don't know why we're still persisting with it. Maybe I'm a lone voice, but every time I've raised this, I've said we can't go down that track. we're going to be collecting a community DC to build a library in Mangawhai, let's collect it from the Mangawhai area, not from the entire district. You know, I don't know how we take this forward. I know the other panel members have different feeling to me on that. I'd be happy to hear from you. I can't contemplate approving a policy that does that. I don't know. Open to the panel. Someone else say something different if you think differently.
I agree.
I agree 100%. My head's on the chopping block if I agree with it.
So Councillor Howard agrees with me. Councillor Lambeth agrees with me. What about you, Mayor Jepson? What do you think about it?
No, I agree, but I'm not supposed to speak anyway.
Why? You're an ex officio member of this panel.
Yeah, well, I agree.
Through the chair, just the library strategy indicates that the Mangawhai Library would be used from residents in Kaiwaka and Mangataroto and in between, whereas the Dargaville Library gets used from Paparoa to the Kaihu. So I'm going to assume that this has come from the library strategy, and it targets the fact that those libraries would be district-wide use.
There may be a catchment that fits from the strategy that may be in Mangawhai, but it certainly doesn't extend to Dargaville, and as it's currently written, Dargaville Development would fund it. It seems ridiculous. Michael.
Through the chair, I'm not wanting to put Sue on the spot, but I'm just wondering if we have been collecting DCs for this project for some time, and if the panel recommends the council to remove this project and council does, would we have to refund the DCs for this project?
Through the chair, yes, I think we would. There wouldn't be that many to refund because there wouldn't have been that many developments. I think outside of Mangawhai.
Could we change the scope of the DC so that it is confined to a smaller catchment that doesn't include places like Ruawai, Dargaville and Tikopo and refund those ones?
Cool.
Yes, no problem with that. We can alter this from a district project to a Mangawhai project.
Sounds good to me.
Good.
So can we just walk through the model in terms of how much money is supposed to be being raised and how long it's taking to pay all the debt back? Who's going to do that?
So I did that last meeting. I specified all the growth projects that we knew of in Mangawhai, being Mangawhai Central, Mangawhai Hills, Black Swamp Road, Mangawhai Rise, MetLife Care. So there's quite a number.
Yeah. So if we just can we just work through the model from left to right? Maybe someone in the room here might be better. We've got a project cost of $6 million in following.
Yep. Do you want just
I want to understand how the numbers stack up for this project.
okay, like the total, so across how it's divvied up by year?
From the growth assumptions and the amount of revenue collected, how long it's going to take, how much it's going to cost in debt.
Stuart would probably be the best person to run us through that normally, but what I can do is what's that?
Is it on the screen?
Yeah, look, Kelly's got it up there. The best way of working is across the project. So because it's such a long spreadsheet, obviously you've got to kind of make your way across. So if you just scroll across, Kelly, and sometimes the easiest way is actually to hide the tabs that we don't need to use, but
everyone's got it on their computers and can follow along. Yeah.
Try to.
Yeah, so basically you'll see as we move across the years there, you'll see the money that's been allocated for existing projects, and then the projected costs as well.
Yeah, so I'm looking at just for the Mangawhai Community Library new build.
Oh, just for the Mangawhai?
Yep.
Okay, yep. Well, so we can filter that.
Yep.
So if Kelly, you want to just filter by, hang on.
Just not fit there, is it?
In select the project.
That's working.
I don't know if you filtered before, did you, Kelly, with the community one? There's a DC category. So if you just go across the column A and then just filter out everything except community new. Go okay. Should be just one line at the top. Yep. And then if you come across, you'll see all the figures in there. So 6 million total, and then come across to 2027. We've just got the one figure in there at 2027. So Sue, I'm not sure if you know much more than I do about the 6 million that's in 2027, whether it was meant to be.
Yeah, so that's 6 million of total capital cost, 3 million from DCs. And the way it's going to be collected is if we added up all those that I said, Mangawhai Central, Mangawhai Rise, MetLife Care, Black Swamp Road, Mangawhai Hills, you multiply those by the 1554, you'd come to nearly $3 million. So, and we're talking about those developments being over 20 years.
So where in the model are these growth assumptions falling in the years? Is that further across?
What is?
I think we have to go to the model tab.
Oh, and here.
That was a model.
Here.
And then as we've
Oh, I see. That's in the
3
project
million is-
list. Go into the model and filter for the project.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then if you scroll across,
Go to the model, select for community.
G, and then
Oh, yeah, I got you.
there you are. Yes. Yeah. So everything's in there. Sorry. You see funding growth 50%.
So in
Yeah.
column I, we've got a project cost of 6 million. We've got a net cost of 6 million. We've got a growth attributable cost of 6 million. And then we've got a percentage project cost relating to additional capacity of 50%. So if the growth attributable cost is 6 million, why is growth not paying the full 6 million?
Scroll across the tabs, P and U, you'll see the DC funding is
3
effectively
million.
3 million, 50%, 6 million.
What does growth attributable cost mean then?
Sorry, I don't know that.
In column L, we've got a growth attributable cost of 6 million.
I think that's just something with growth in it. It's the total cost.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
The model is highly.
Oh, yeah.
If we look at the projected cost, 6 million, DC funding aspect, 3 million.
I suspect the reason why this is a little bit confusing is probably because the last DC policy would have had the full project amount in it. So the full amount for the library build was forecast to be almost $14 million. But we've only got our KDC share in here. So the $6 million. And so that $6 million is probably the only amount that we could have applied to growth, not that external funding. And so potentially that's why it says 6 million, and then we're funding 50% of that through growth.
So through the chair, it's always been 6 million total in the LTP, with 3 million funded by DCs.
Okay. All right. So that's basically being funded through growth all the way up to 2055. Right. I see we've got 37 in 2055, and then it's the end of our
IM.
yeah, so it's this is a 30-year project funded half from DCs and half from debt. Yeah.
That's correct.
All right. Any questions about the community item, folks? No.
Nope.
Through the chair, and to clarify, have staff heard that the panel would prefer that this item is not funded by the entire district? Is that what?
It's not a preference. I think you'll find that it's absolutely black and white. We will not approve something that has the rest of the district from, I don't know where your catchments are in this library strategy, but we need to ring fence where that is collected from for a reasonable catchment for the Mangawhai Library, which I would say certainly doesn't extend as far as Ruawai and Dargaville. If there's a contemplated growth for Dargaville and we want to fund an upgrade, then maybe that development can consider having a DP. But I just don't see any way we could contemplate collecting it from Dargaville to pay for a library in Mangawhai.
As far as Mangaroto, perhaps.
Well, let's have a look at how that might work. But yeah,
That's direction.
well, that's going to come. But I think that's the sense that we're getting here.
An interesting question, because I wonder how many people are now coming from Mangaroto to shop in Newell and Mangawhai. You know, the draw and out in the district.
Well, it may well be, but let's get that catchment right. But I think the second part of this is if we have collected community-wide DCs from Dargaville through to wherever we decide these boundaries are, somewhere east of Ruawai, then those ones would need to be refunded, I think, for fairness.
And in light that there's been very little development Dargaville of late, now would be the easiest time to fix that.
Yeah.
Than waiting for say Moonlight Heights to start bowling over, and the problem will just get worse.
Yeah. All right. Let's have an adjournment for 15 minutes.
What's next on the agenda?
Trying to put together some decision of this committee.
How IT savvy are you? 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll reconvene now. Michael Day, what would you like us to do?
Chair, thank you. So to a certain degree, we are in your hands before we finish off the meeting. I'd just like to circle back to the conversation with previously with regards to the Roading East unsubsidised funding. We do recollect that there was discussions around that, Chair. Teams will look into that and make sure it's for the council meeting we have done forward.
So the position we were told by staff was that there was only one project. Is that, are you now resolving for that position?
Yeah, that appears to be the case, Chair, and we're certainly going to look into that further, make sure it's all squared up.
Okay. So what we now need to do, I take it, is try to make a recommendation to council from these deliberations. And there are some key decisions here. Probably first up is we've got a recommendation from a scenario 1B. We've also got a scenario 2. Scenario 1B is excluding bonafide wastewater projects up to 5 years, and scenario 2 is including bonafide wastewater projects 10 years. That will change the DC for wastewater from that bonafide from 40,013 to, what was the figure?
62,206.
62,206. So I think maybe we just sort of, we might just go around the room on each of these subjects and have a bit of a discussion and see if there's any consensus amongst us to take things forward. I think with this one, there is an added complication, as Catherine's told us, that we would need to do some reconsultation if we wanted to go with scenario 2. We would only be consulting on that one isolated matter, I take it, if we were to reconsult on it. Yep. We've heard also that consultation would be a reasonable period, which could be a couple of weeks. My concern about going with scenario 1B is that we are then underfunding projects in that 5 to 10 year period from what's likely to be a lion's share of development over the next 5 years, and therefore then putting an even greater burden onto future growth. I think that for a big and expensive project like this, that we should be attempting to collect the required amount from now and not put it off 5 years. And my preference is to go with scenario 2, go through the required consultation for 2 weeks, and if that means there is a carryover into the new triennium, then so be it. If we do happen to manage to get it through this triennium, and that's good. That's my thoughts. Anyone else want to talk on that matter?
Yeah, I will pick up on that. Where we've had issues in the past is because we haven't had funding from development to pay for the big cost. So I think we need to be short and sorry and consult on 2B.
Sorry, 2B or 2?
2. Option
2.
1, 2.
All right, Councillor Lambeth, you got any thoughts on this?
No, I'm probably going down the same line. It's when we have a look at scenario 1B, for this area here, the Dougville area without much growth, at least we're starting to get there. It's not going to be that significant for the cost of those sections. Who knows what's going to happen with the announcements from central government as far as this goes anyway, so yeah.
But to be clear, Scenario 2 only affects Mangawhai wastewater.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah. So yeah, as far as over this area, I can see that this is a great step forward. It's still edible. Yeah.
Do you have a preference between scenario 1B and scenario 2?
I don't, but I can understand that extra consultation may be appropriate in this case.
Okay, Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, look, I have to say I agree with option 2 rather than 1B. And I think Gordon's just said is it does affect more than anything really the Mangawhai wastewater. But there is a stream of growth that is coming, albeit it might be slower in initial years than it was. But I think that it projects to the community exactly what we know we need to address. And so I think that probably gives good reason to include it in there, or at least part of it. The question I have is that, we're looking at this table that says $40,000.13 for Mangawhai wastewater. So that would presumably go up quite significantly if we included all that 37.5 million under option 2, scenario 2.
The figure is 62,016, Councillor Howard.
Okay, I was looking at the one that was being presented based on option 1B.
That is option 1B. On their sheet, option 2 is 62,016. That's what we're discussing.
No, okay. Well, I haven't got that there. Okay, that's my view anyway.
Okay, so how are we going to do this, Michael? Are we going to construct a motion that we can vote on that incorporates these various components, or because the staff recommendation is very generic?
Yes. Just for clarity for the chair, there is no requirement for us to go back out to reconsult. However, the staff team have mentioned that our risk exposure is reduced if we do reconsult. So is your preference for us to reconsult on?
My preference is that we reconsult on Mangawhai wastewater, seeing as it's a significant change in that water, that risk. Lambert?
Do that only?
Well, there isn't anything else that's required to be consulted on, is there?
You've seen through the chair that the majority of charges have reduced through this process. The panel has spoken about the community charge. However, I do not believe that's a significant matter. We would have to reconsult.
What I would say then is we consult on the Mangawhai wastewater again and on any other matters that have arisen that staff deem as appropriate to consult on. Has anyone else got a contrary view to that? You there, Michael?
I don't have a contrary view. I don't have a contrary view.
Okay, good. Okay, we're all okay with that. What's next?
Yep.
So we will have part of this motion that the panel recommends reconsulting on Mangawhai wastewater.
Correct.
Tomorrow.
No. So we will undertake a further 2 weeks, let's say 2 weeks of public consultation, split on the Mangawhai wastewater component and any other matters which have changed within.
So what I think we'll do, Kelly, is we'll get we'll get some consensus from the panel. We'll then have another adjournment whilst we work up a motion that reflects that, and then we'll come back online and transact that.
I'll give it a crack now if you want.
If you want to do it now, that's fine.
Maybe there's something like, just throwing it out there, that the working group, whatever this is called, agrees to recommend to council scenario 2 as listed in the staff report, and reconsult on the Mangawhai wastewater component in the other matters if needed.
So what you're suggesting is we're going to leave the adoption of the policy and its priority until such time as we've been through that further consultation process.
So I would expect that would have to go to council with that new policy to adopt consultation. Am I correct? You know what I
I
mean?
think so.
Yeah. So we need to do that.
Yeah, we might need to do that. We might do that through an extraordinary meeting, given the urgency and the time frame to get it done. But we can't do it tomorrow.
So does that sound right?
Yeah, well, I think so. Yep, we're recommending recommending scenario B, but that we reconsult on the Mangawhai wastewater and any other matters. You might want to work that up to see if you think there are other matters. Just leave that open. What else do we need to deal with? The community thing. So, as far as the community thing, we've just discussed that, but we're all in favour of only collecting the community DC for the building of the Mangawhai Library from a catchment that would use it. And we've been told from the library strategy there is a catchment that relates to that may be appropriate.
There's definitely a catchment for the Dargaville Library that we applied by looking at our library memberships and seeing where they all came from. So I'm certain that we could do the same thing for Mangawhai.
So can we find some wording around that?
We can, Chair. We might want to break for a minute or two to.
I think it's going to be better to, yeah. So, so what else do we need? Is there anything else that we needed to include in this? There are sweeping changes.
No, so because
Everything else falls out of scenario 2. Okay. All right. Well, I think in that case, unless anyone else on the panel's got anything further to add, we might as well just have an adjournment whilst we work something up, and we'll come back in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Do you want us to unmute?
Oh, no, not yet. Let's just get it sorted.
Yeah.
They're not in place.
Could see they might be here.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you everybody and welcome back. All right, so we've done a bit of work on like form a motion here and I'll get Kelly to get up on the screen for us when that's ready. So we have a motion that reads that the Development Contributions Policy Review Panel recommends to Council that scenario 2 as listed in the staff report be adopted, but that prior to adoption, Council reconsults on the Mangawhai wastewater and any other matters if needed. B, the Mangawhai Library Project development contributions be funded by a catchment area to be defined by anticipated future users instead of district-wide. And C, any community development contributions previously collected from outside of the catchment area identified in B above be refunded. All right. Does anyone just want to make any comment on that? Don't think it reads right from the panel at all. Are you generally happy with it?
Generally happy.
Okay, well, I will move that then. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Councillor Howard. Right, we've had extensive discussion throughout. I think it's been reasonably robust deliberations. There's a lot going on here, but we have finally landed with a decent review. I think we need to not only remove the risk of not reconsulting, but also be transparent about that because as we've only just been working through the models ourselves through this deliberations, and public need to have full opportunity to have a full say in one way or the other on that particularly significant change that's come up there. And so we're partway through, but we haven't got there yet. Councillor Howard.
Nothing further to add.
Any other members that would like to speak? No? Okay, I'll put this to the vote then. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Thank you. Is there anything else to deal with in this meeting? We're finished?
Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for your attendance, and I declare the meeting closed.